Did Rose Anvil get duped? Or did they sell out? That's the real question. Now, today we're going to do a quick little review on some boots. Mainly because I go through lots of boots and have a lot of trouble finding the right boot and getting one that lasts. And by the time I do figure one out, they discontinue it. Has anybody ever ran into that? They find something that actually works for them and then just up and discontinues them? Leave a comment if you have. Name your favorite pair of boots. I'd like to see what else everybody has that they like. So back to Rose Anvil a little bit. They did a review on these boots. And this is the Bearfoot Bruin. Now, he did a review that was so good that I bought a pair. Now, if you've seen any of Rose Anvil's stuff, check it out. I'll actually have a link for his video down in the description so you can check that video out. He does a great job. He really does. And he shows off these boots really, really well. And the reason that I say this is there's some things that I wonder if he either, one, sold out, or two, got given a special pair of boots. And that's where I have a little bit of an issue with some things on taking items to review, is because they get to select the best of their best. They aren't going to send, nothing. They're going to look at their product as good as possible and make sure that they're sending out the best possible product they have. Some companies, would they even go as far as making a special one just to make sure that they have the best out there? I mean, this is basically a commercial. I bought these with my own money. They don't know that I'm doing this video. They know nothing about it. Nobody knows anything about it. You watching it as the first person, or my daughter who's helping me make this, she knows about it. Say hi, Jenna.
Hello.
I doubt they can hear you. But anyways, so kind of getting back on point is, one, I don't want to throw the connotation that these boots aren't worth buying, because I actually bought a second pair. But there are some things that you really need to know about. First, I'm going to go over some of the good things and some of the things that I really like. This is considered a barefoot boot. And the thing that makes a barefoot boot is some of it's the toe width. So this width across here, I have extremely wide feet. Now, with having extremely wide feet, makes it very, very hard to get a pair of boots or shoes or anything that fit well. Also, considering, if you ask my wife, my feet are like bricks, or Fred Flintstone feet. They're almost as long as they are wide, kind of a foot. So another thing is how thin the sole is. Now, are these considered work boots? By being a wide, thin-soled boot, they don't have a puncture resistance rating. They don't have an oil resistance rating. They don't have an electrical resistance rating. So in a lot of workplaces, no, this isn't going to be considered a work boot. So I go into a lot of factories. I go into a lot of businesses where work boots are probably a good idea. However, the last pair of boots that I had that I really liked, guess what? The manufacturer stopped making them. And I needed something comfortable enough, and I figured worst case is while I'm looking, these will work. Thin-soled boots are thin-soled shoes are nice because you can feel the contour of the ground. A completely flat sole like this, you'll see a lot of weightlifters use. It gives a really solid platform, which is very nice to have. Another thing that makes or tries to make a shoe barefoot is how much your foot can move and flex and how much mobility it has. And that's where one thing that I know Rose Anvil missed was how this boot's designed. He said something about this cutout right here. That cutout right there is to allow for ankle mobility. It will flex and move so your ankle still has movement, and you can lace up above it and below it, which is a great design. I mean, they thought this out pretty well. Also, the tongue, I don't know if you can see, is actually split there, so it wants to naturally fold forward, which as far as flexibility, you know, see, it lines up right here where it folds forward with that. It's a real nice, you know, design. Unless you're going to tie your shoes and you happen to have a big belly in front of you, this always wants to flop down and makes it a challenge to tie your shoes. So something to be aware of, that this can get a little annoying on that front. However, get rid of the belly, get rid of the problem. Also, he mentioned about the lacing, and I may have to roll in some B footage here of how this punctures through the tongue and how that would reduce, you know, obviously waterproofness or, you know, things getting in. There's a reason why this is done this way. So when this is puncturing through, and I can't really see what I'm pointing at here, but did our tongue get in the way again? See, like I said, it can be slightly annoying. It can cause some problems. So when this punctures through like this, it rolls that over. What this does is actually causes it to be more of a challenge for this lace to loosen up. So it's done for a reason. It lets this bind tighter without having to do some trick lacing to keep it nice and tight. So that's, you know, it's designed very well. It has a fairly reasonable thickness on the leather. If you want to see all the details, go to Rose Anvil's channel. He tells you the measurements. He cuts the boot in half. He shows the inside out, all that good stuff. The insole, which you can't really see, it's covered, but where that leather piece in there, I think he said was around 2 millimeters thick. I wish that was slightly thicker. It has compressed and form fitted to my foot. I've worn these for over a month straight, 5 days a week. That's why I'm getting a second pair, because I like to have 2 pairs. I like to switch them out every other day, if at all possible. This back here has still held up very well. I'm a very heavy guy, almost 400 pounds, so I tear shoes down quicker than most people. So a pair of boots lasting a month, I know sounds kind of like that should last no matter what. I've tore down a pair of Timberland Pros in less than 2 weeks. Just to give you an idea, if it's too soft of a boot, I will destroy it. I can't have a super soft, cushy boot because it doesn't hold up to me. I'm on concrete and some adverse conditions a little bit, and it doesn't work. So the leather, especially on the back, has been holding up well. Even on the sides, I don't know if you can see how little it's rolled. I don't know if one of these rolled more than the other or not. Let's check the right one. I don't know if you can see any rolling through there or not, but usually this is where I start really breaking down a shoe, is to the outside. One neat thing that I noticed on these, and I don't know if you can, because of it being flat, because of it being a flat sole and the way that it's built, I always roll to the outside, but since there's no arch in here, it's a flat base, you can see that this boot's actually kind of starting to lean to the inside a little bit. This is the first pair of boots that's ever done that for me. Hence why I'm buying a second pair, is because of how comfortable they actually are for me. But you cannot get a barefoot style, a minimalist style shoe without having foot conditioning to actually withstand that force. You can't go from a 1-inch thick foam pad you're walking around on all the time to basically a thin piece of rubber. Your foot will get sore and tired and is not used to the impact. While we're talking about the rubber, let's go ahead and talk about the sole a little bit here. So this sole is fairly thin. You can feel rocks and stuff through it, but not to the point of any kind of pain. You can just feel you're stepping on something. It does slightly conform to that, but this does not move much at all. I can try pushing that in even with a good amount of force. It's not rolling around. It's not like a Vibram 5-finger shoe or a Zero shoe or a Barefoot shoe, so to speak. This sole, by not being electrical resistant or puncture resistant, can cause some issues. However, oil resistant and electrical resistance, let's talk about that. This is a resolable boot, a very easy resolable boot. So if you have a cobbler in your area that can resole these, when you wear this out, you can put a Vibram sole on here that is oil and electrical resistant. So you can start getting some of those things that you may need for the conditions that you're in. That's a little bit off point. Why pay, well north of $200 for a pair of boots that you have to modify? Well, that's on you. I'm not for sure. I know when I resoled these, it will be with probably a Vibram sole and oil and slip resistant. As far as holding up on these, you can see possibly that there's a little bit of extra what looks like wear here. Well, if you look at the patterning of this bear claws, their kind of marketing thing, there's some spots that are a little hollowed out or have a little less. That's where this was cut out. So there's these little pieces there, and yeah, they did drag off. They were basically half pieces there, which makes this look like it drug more than the other one. This one here, you can see there's a lot less of that dragging, or a lot less of it out. See if I get a good rotation of that for you there. So I'm not too worried there as far as holding up and stuff. They don't have the best traction on concrete with dust on them. You can feel some slipping, which again, most boots do. This just seems like a bit more than some of my older boots that I've had. They also have a tendency to pick up itty bitty little stones and stick in there. Here's some right there. So don't know if you can see that very well, but it'll pick up little bitty stones in there. You'll hear them click on, the concrete or this or tile floors or whatever, or you can feel it scrape some because it is a thin sole. Can get slightly annoying, not too awful bad, depends on how OCD that you are on that. So what else do we want to talk about? Oh, let's go ahead and get into the negatives. Why I think Rose Anvil was either duped or they sold out. One thing, when these came, they had a horrible smell. Like the smell of the rubber off-gassing was so strong that in my vehicle, still to this day, when I kick my fan on, the filter has picked up enough this smell. You can smell how these boots smelled the first day that I got them. This was a very strong smell. Like you need to put it out in the sun for a couple afternoons and let it off gas, kind of a thing. I don't see how that can be avoided. That's why I wonder if maybe he was just sent a pair of boots that was already prepared for him. 2, these eyelets. So let me sit that down so I don't knock it down. And I don't know how well you can see it. You obviously won't be able to see how sharp this is, but this will slice you. This is starting already in a month to cause the shoelaces to show extra abrasion, which just from sliding in and out. That there is one thing that they have to replace. I mean, that they have to fix. I've emailed the company just here yesterday. I haven't gotten a response yet. Hopefully I will get one, because that's just too sharp. It's just, something that my pants are getting cut on the inside where they go over here, because this grabs a little bit, and just the moving of walking or sitting down and getting up and stuff will catch on this, and it'll actually cut into my pants or hook that and grab. Another thing I wish they would improve while we're talking about things is they have this cut out back here, so it gives nice you know, ankle mobility and stuff, why not put a loop to put this on? Because this is softer leather. The way that these shoelaces hold, if you do not loosen them up real well, it's hard to get this tongue opened up. So you have to take the time to actually loosen this up. And I don't know if I can spread that out enough for you to be able to see how that loops through there or not. Does that focus in there? Try to hold that still. So you can see how that loops through. That causes that to grab to where you have to physically pull these through. When they're tied on there tight, this does not move easily through that. So if you didn't loosen these completely the night before when you took them off, you got to put them on, this whole thing just kind of squishes down. Like I said, it's not terrible by any means, but if it had a loop back here that you could grab hold of, you could slide it on easier without having to prep this tongue to have to be moved all the way forward quite as far. Little complaint, I know, but you know what? You're putting these boots on every single day. You don't want to have to fight with anything that's not necessary. If there's an easy fix of one little leather loop back here to grab a hold of, why not? Just extend this on up, double it back, put it on. Same piece of leather, you know. That 1 inch of leather or 2 inches isn't going to kill you. And from everything that I know is 2 inches makes everything better. But triple stitching all the way through, solid boot. I like it. I don't know if I'll add more to this, but take the time to please like, subscribe, leave a comment, leave your feedback. Let me know anything that you'd like to see better on this, and I'll do my best. I plan on doing a few more reviews on some items, and I don't know if I'll do any more on some shoes, possibly. Depends on which channel you're watching this on. I have a couple of channels. So on the one channel, definitely there'll be some more shoe reviews. On Fueled, I doubt it because they won't be work related. I try to keep that more work items and things that the man or the working folks need. Thanks for taking the time to watch. Have yourself a blessed day.